that's being held during his visit. Meanwhile, a dispute over the return of hostages' bodies held by Hamas threatened to derail the truce between Hamas and Israel. Israel said that there was one body of a hostage and demanded that the terror group return all hostages. We also had Donald Trump turn around and say, unless Hamas signs up and drops its arms and drops its weapons, there is no deal. And we will go. Said, thank you for your attention to this matter. But how much weight, credence will the presence of 20 nations in this entire Gaza peace deal actually give to perhaps a possibility of peace, and peace at what cost? Are all sides happy? And if all sides are not happy, then can there ever be lasting peace and a solution to this entire conundrum in this region? The most conflicted region in the world and perhaps the most fought over piece of real estate. That's what is described in this region. Lieutenant General D.B. Pandey, security analyst, former GOC 15 Corps with us. Ambassador Deepak Vora, former diplomat with us. Arjun Hardas, Indian representative of the American Jewish Committee, is with us. And also Tara Karta, former director NSCS with us. And Tilak Devasharji should be joining us in a bit. But namaste and Jai Hind to everybody. Thank you for your time. Let me ask you, General Pandey, from a military perspective, is this peace going to hold?
Yeah, just because 20 leaders of countries were actually blackmailed, armed, twisted to be present for this deal. And most of them were there to just showcase their presence. And you are seeing that how the countries are bending backwards to actually smile and bend in front of Trump. I don't think so, because, you know, there are 2-3 underlying issues. One very major underlying issue is to get all the bodies back. While they have got the hostages alive, but bodies coming back is going to be very difficult because Hamas aren't going to give it so easy. And second, I'm very sure they also don't know where they are. So, right, that is one part. The second is that what will happen to the expansion, I'll not say occupation, but whichever way one wants to look at it, there are areas which Hamas wants Israel to get back. And not only Hamas, there are a number of other people who are just tom-tomming what is Hamas has been telling the world that they need to get out from that location. That is the second part. Third is Hamas okay with the Palestinian organization to take over that area, and will it hand over its weapons? It is impossible, because it is not only targeted towards Israel, it is also targeted to their own people, because the control and in Gaza is through actually use of weapon, and there is a certain degree of polarization taking place. People want to get away from Hamas, but the moment you imagine what will happen to Hamas the moment they surrender weapon and they keep weapon down, it's not going to happen so easy. It is just started. The choice with Israel, and please understand the political facet of it. While I know that, at least I believe that Netanyahu is willing to take on everything on his chin, what has happened on 7th October in terms of intelligence failure, he will take it on his chin. That chap has got huge broad shoulders. But the fact also remains that the moment he hands over, he gets steps back, there is a constituency within Israel which is going to get after him. It is a democracy, all right. And I think how it will play out will only time will tell. So right now the situation aren't so easy. While everybody is backing up, at the last point I just want to wind up. Right. Who is going to carry out the reconstruction activity in Gaza? Who is going to fund it? Who is going to control it? Are the people going to be living there and continue to do it? Because Gazans have got a way of actually sorting out their own life and not doing it easy. So there are other challenges which are involved. It is not going to be an easy road ahead.
Right. There is also West Bank. So what happens to this entire West Bank region? Ambassador Deepak Vora, the thought process is there are more people who want the conflict to continue because it's in their interest and profits rather than the conflict to end. Who empowered the Hamas, who armed them, who allowed it all this while also arming and weaponizing the Israelis, who was the mastermind behind October 7, and whatever happened thereafter, who thought about it all. There are all many questions which are asked, and the Palestinians also have their own view. But where do you stand on what is happening? Is there a chance for peace, or are we just delaying the inevitable, that is more conflict?
Thank you very much, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes. Namaste.
All right. Namaste. I'm in New York at the moment, and it's 9:30 in the morning, and it's 5 degrees Celsius. So please forgive all the woolens that I have draped over my shoulders. Thank you very much. This morning came back from a walk, talked to many friends. My group has senators, retired congressmen, journalists, academics, some Israelis, etc. Now, you asked who's interested in stopping the war. All right. Let me put it to you. Let me ask you a counter question. Who are the three main players? There's Israel. They are there. They want the weapons because it's a question of survival. Then there is the Palestinians, the so-called Palestinians. Who cares about them? And then Hamas. What is Hamas doing? Why does it need heavy equipment? Who are they fighting? Why did they start the fight? All these years, Hamas existed. Israel didn't clobber them. They were very happy. Hamas is still committed to the elimination of the Jewish state. So it's not going to happen. Arming of you asked this question, who's been arming Hamas? You have the answer as much as I do, sir. Israel has been getting weapons from the United States, has a very developed defense industry in that area. It is an outpost of the West in a volatile Islamic neighborhood, the only stable country there. The rest is a bit of a joke. I was rereading T.E. Lawrence's book about the Middle East. I'll show it to you in a moment. And it exactly what he had predicted, that area, it's uncontrollable. Because Yasser Arafat, I remember when I was studying at the Sorbonne in Paris, he came to address us. And he said, yes, as long as we have Israel, we'll fight them. When Israel doesn't fight with us, then we Arabs will clobber each other. Because we can't do without fighting. That's the kind of mindset that these fellows had. And what they did was horrendous. So Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will, of course, ride through this, whatever is happening. So, of the 20 countries that were there, the one that I was listening to most carefully was that Badmaz Sharif, who, short of saying to Donald Trump, there is Allah in heaven and there is Donald Trump on earth, he said everything else. And I don't know if you heard what Trump told him before he invited him to speak. He said, all the flattery you've been giving me for the last 2 days, say it publicly. And the poor chap was totally trapped. He didn't know what to do. If you hear that soundbite, it's fascinating. And Trump was standing like a hawk listening and make one mistake and I'll give you a kick in your wherever it hurts. So, it was fascinating. Therefore, sir, all these jokers who had showed up there, they were standing behind Trump. And did you see what Giorgia Meloni did? And she's very good at rolling her eyes. And when this fellow started speaking, she was doing, oh, kya bol raha hai, this kind of thing. It's not going to work. Take it from me. So I'm 74, 52 years in diplomacy. Israel will have to continue to defend itself, to arm itself, to do what it has to, because the survival of Israel, and nobody's going to threaten the survival of Israel, but Israel being there is the only chance. I say this against conventional wisdom, is the only chance the Middle East has to enjoy some kind of stability and peace. Israel is the key player, sir.
Now, Israel is the key player, but the terms and conditions, unless they are acceptable to all sides, Arjun Tarakarta ji is also with us. Namaste. How will there be peace? Now, look at what's happening. At a time when there's supposed to be peace, nations are talking about dropping of hostilities. The Maccabi Football Club, Maccabi Tel Aviv Football Club fans are not going to be allowed into the stadium in Birmingham for the 6th November match against the Aston Villa Football Club. That's the development in the UK. Keir Starmer is upset about it. Gideon Saar is upset about it. But Ayub Khan, the Birmingham MP, comes out and says it's in the interest of the community that these fans are not allowed because our cops cannot stop if there is violence. Now, how does that mean there is going to be peace? What's the point of a Gaza peace accord if in Britain, Birmingham, the stadium is going to say Jews are not allowed? That's quite literally that's what they're saying. Arjun.
The Jews are not allowed is something which I think, unfortunately, a lot of people of a certain age have forgotten from the 30s and the 20s and even before that in the Western world, where certain hotels, clubs, public places in the United States were very clear about no Jews allowed. Golf clubs couldn't admit Jews. Hotels could not admit Jews. I've stayed in one in Chicago, which I asked. I said, "Why was this built by the Jewish community?" They said, "Because we weren't allowed to stay in any Chicago hotel, a regular hotel. So we had to build one of our own." Yeah, there's this misunderstanding that anti-Semitism, especially in the Western world, has came down, and it is down, and only certain conditions have been created because, without saying so, because of how Israeli actions is that anti-Semitism is back. It never went away. It never went away in the Western world, especially after the war. There was let's put it like this, a little dipping to keep it a little quiet, but it's back to where it was. Nothing has changed. So, and then let's be honest. I mean, this whole thing in Birmingham about not allowing the Jews. I mean, let's say what happened last year in Amsterdam. Jews were hunted. And it's not a question of Israelis. Jews were hunted. What is a Jew sitting in, let's say, New York or in Manchester have anything to do with what's happening in Israel? In that context, then somebody carries out, let's say an Islamist carries out a suicide bombing somewhere else. So should every Muslim around the world be beaten up because of that? That because he was a co-religionist of yours?
No, but there is a difference between Islam and Islamist. Islam and Islamism. But there's no difference between an Israeli and a Jew. There's no difference between the IDF and someone who is held hostage by the Hamas.
Correct. Yeah. Does that make sense? Should that be allowed? That criteria? I mean, isn't it a little bit ridiculous? So the concept of this is basically, if somebody is saying the Jews, Israelis, Jews should not be allowed into the stadium, should not be allowed to attend the thing. What is the government doing then? This is completely what they call appeasement. Nothing else. And nothing is going to get sorted out. The more you appease, the more this is going to come up and up. This is going to go. Now, Jews are not allowed. Next time, they're not going to be allowed somewhere else. You can't attend. Jews cannot sit in restaurants. Jews cannot be given a drink. Is that going to be what is acceptable? You have your political differences, fine. But so basically the government of the United Kingdom has abdicated its duties of protection of whoever visits or a citizen.
But what I'm saying is that the sentiment of hostility remains. You see what's happening, the world war. You're talking about a peace plan and this hostility remains. So what's the point of it all?
This is not a peace plan. This is a ceasefire plan. There is going to be no peace in that region, not for decades, if not centuries to come. The basic fundamental problem is when you've got Hamas, which has made it very clear, open, and you mentioned that in your opening statement, that they do not want anything except to see the end and the elimination of all Jews and Israelis.
Yeah, it's in their doctrine. It's in their doctrine.
It's open. It's in Arabic. It's very clear, and in English as well. Now the question is, what is the problem? One of the biggest problems that they've got, and it's that Israel occupies 0.1% of what is perceived to be the Islamic Arabic world. That's not allowed. That's perfectly not allowed. So where is even if there is a peace, even if, as they say, the Jews, the Israelis lay down their arms, they surrender everything that you want them to do from the other side that they do, they will either have to leave eventually or they will be killed. That's very, very clear from the other side. So what peace? I mean, people have this doctrine, this talk which people keep talking about, is that 750,000 Arabs had to leave Israel. Does anybody talk about 850,000 Jews who were kicked out from every single Arab Muslim country in 1948 of the foundation of Israel? Every single. Where is the right of return for them? Where is the right of property for them? What about their houses? Was there compensation given? Nothing. Zero. It's very one-sided. And the more of this kind of Birmingham kind of a thing of appeasement is going to continue, the more it's going to happen. And this is not the end. You appease them once, the Islamists, if you want to put it that way, it is going to continue. There's going to be no end to it. And until the rest are going to be targeted by exactly this. It's not just a question of anti-Semitism. It is complete. Again, I'll repeat, this is not a peace plan. This is a temporary ceasefire plan as has happened between the Hamas and Israel in 2008, 2014, 2021, 2018. Temporary ceasefire.
Yeah, but it's never come to this part where the precondition is cessation of hostilities at all points is to drop arms. Or the writ is very clear that we are not allowing you to regroup. We are going to come in and keep shooting you till the time you drop your arms. Now that is something which is a departure. But is this tenable? Tarakarta, your thoughts? 1 second.
Yeah.
I think I would go with what the earlier speaker said, you cannot expect, this whole concept of disarming. You can only disarm if there is something cohesive at the back which ensures the security of those who are being disarmed. Otherwise, nobody's going to disarm. What is that guy going to do next? Right? So as a process, is it wrong? As a principle, it's fantastic. You stop the war, you stop the killing. But as a process, it is terrible. Number two is the fact that despite, I have all of us have a lot of sympathy for Israel, but the fact that they even refuse to accept the Palestinian Authority, you're going to create a void where the Hamas is already taking up its space. So I don't know what is going on here. Hamas, as we know, has again started fighting. There's some talk of infighting. There's another group which has come up, and there is stuff, there is a lot of, they are not weakened yet. So I don't see them disarming. I would ideally would like to have this international force which is there on the ground protecting everyone's thing. But in the end, the question is, if the Hamas has fought for so long, they're stepping back from asking for power, which they jolly well should not, considering they're a terrorist group. But what are you going to do with them? That is, so this is unreal. I would agree with this. This is not a process that's going to go very far.
Well, General Pandey, if this process is not going to go very far, what does Donald Trump achieve? What is he trying to do? Why are 20 countries standing behind him there?
So these are, while we all understand there are challenges, but the attempt from the world must continue to go on. Right? That is one part. The second is that please understand that I'm sure even Trump and his advisor are telling him that Hamas Netanyahu may believe that they have wiped out. They have wiped out two layers of leadership, right? But it is a very amorphous organization. In fact, you're well aware, we talked about it earlier also, the entire numbers which have been neutralized or killed or taken out, they have come back. So while what we see is destruction of buildings, assets, infrastructure, housing, whatever it has happened, but the fact remains that there is enough pool available for Hamas to fill. And every cycle of killing, now look how unfortunate it is. The world has forgotten about 7th October.
Correct.
The world has forgotten about what happened in 1948 when our co-panelist is saying that 850,000 Jews were hunted out and they were sent back and there's no place. But everybody is now focusing on the destruction which has taken place in 7th October onwards. So the mind shift which has taken place at the international level is also very surprising because nobody is focusing on the cause. So till the time actually Hamas is controlled, and I'm sure that Netanyahu, if he feels that the peace is possible, what Taraji is saying is that they will possibly accept Palestinian Authority, but where is the voice of Palestinian Authority? Who wants to follow them? Right? So on West Bank, they have wiped out the Hezbollah leadership. Here they wiped out the Hamas leadership. But the numbers remain, and more dangerous is that whom do you talk to actually to get the peace in that location? Let's come to the larger part, right? Let's look at the three corners where things are under trouble. I'll just take a minute and I'll leave the floor. On one corner, you got Ukraine-Russian war, which is going on now, not controlled, uncontrollable as of now. Second part of this triangle, you have Israel-Hamas thing going on, the tamping up is happening. On the third side, you got in the triangle, slightly biggish, there are very rare areas, and you see Afghanistan, Pakistan, imbroglio happening. And everything in between is in a limbo, is in under pressure, tension. As long as this continues, certain elements will continue to thrive because today, larger portion of economy is dead, right? These all activities are to, one is to seize control, take control, and also to continue to drive economics, because peace is not good for economists, especially for America and for the deep state and the defense
nations
conflict.
that thrive.
Either you should have COVID to drive economy, or you have to have real estate burgeoning, or you have to have certain degree of wars or things are going to happen.
Because nations that thrive on a war economy, they lead.
Correct. So this triangle is where The war economy today is thriving.
We'll come
And
to this
just
angle
one-
of the triangle, the AFPAC bit, in just a bit. Just one question before we move on to the AFPAC bit on the Gaza aspect. Ambassador Deepak Vora, do you think Prime Minister Narendra Modi was wise to skip this?
Oh, absolutely. There is no question about it. By way of disclaimer to our colleague, our Jewish colleague who's here, may I just say, sir, my extended family in New York, we have a Jewish son-in-law. And I'm going to be seeing him in a little while. We all love him dearly, sir. You're wonderful people. You absolutely have a right to exist. You know, shalom. Pizza Khande Israel. May you win. So all I'd just like to say that Prime Minister Narendra Modi not going there for what? To stand behind the fellow with all these jokers from Europe and other? Do what? Make a speech like this the gentleman from Jihadistan made over there? No. It's very good that he didn't go and he sent a junior minister there who stood. And then you heard President Donald Trump later. He used 4 epithets for everybody. Outstanding, incredible, amazing, brilliant. Everybody was brilliant, outstanding, amazing. That's what he was talking about, scowling all the time, mocking everybody over there. So my own feeling is Prime Minister did very well to show we follow our own policy. I don't come at the drop of a hat when you summon me. India stands tall. India stands firm. And sir, if I may say so, as an Indian, sir, forget religion. As an Indian, my heart is firmly with Israel, sir.
We, at least in Bharat, we have always backed a two-state policy. Let the Palestinians govern, let the Israelis do what? Nobody attacks each other's sovereignty or each other's security.
It won't happen, sir. It won't happen, sir.
Yeah,
we had a two-state. We had a two-state policy in 1947 when Jihadistan was created. How do you change the mindset, sir?
Correct. That was my question. I was about to ask you. You asked. So that's where it is. There will be no cessation of hostilities, even if somebody wipes out the Hamas or de-arms them or disarms them for the moment. They will end up somewhere else and they'll regroup somewhere else, and the narrative will switch elsewhere. You may drop arms, but you've not gone to. The thought process is still weaponized, and that's where the problem is. Thank you, Arjun Hardas. I'm going to let you go because we're going to shift focus to AFPAC. You're most welcome to stay on with us, even as Tilak Devashar ji also joins us at this point. Quickly, let's bring you up to speed on what's happening in this region, Afghanistan, Pakistan. A crucial round of negotiations between Pakistan and the Taliban is set to begin in Doha. The talks, facilitated by a third-party mediator, highlight the growing urgency to address rising cross-border tensions, primarily driven by the activities of the Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan. The talks, facilitated by a third-party mediator, underscore the growing urgency to address escalating cross-border tensions, primarily fueled by the activities of the Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan, TTP. Pakistan National Security Advisor and DGISI, Lieutenant General Asim Malik, and Afghan Taliban Defense Minister Mullah Yaqoob are likely to meet in Doha in a short while from now, and that's what the reports confirm to CNN News 18. Doha will hold talks between Taliban and Pakistan, and a delegation of Afghanistan is scheduled to travel, and they will participate in these negotiations. The situation is critical and needs third-party mediation. The talks signify Islamabad's growing desperation to stabilize cross-border tension, even as Rawalpindi continues to be embarrassed by the guerrilla tactics, warfare tactics of the TTP and also the Islamic Emirate forces of Afghanistan. Now, Pakistan will be making cases of TTP hostilities before Pakistan's internal unrest escalates. Kabul's participation reflects its intent to assert diplomatic legitimacy, pressure Pak to formally recognize Taliban sovereignty, and also extension points to Pakistan's military fatigue. Pakistan is also not capable of containing insurgency in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Waziristan regions, and of course they suffered huge losses in Balochistan. We'll come to that in a bit. Now, from Kabul's perspective, the Doha talks will be to project Taliban as an equal negotiating power. That the segue or breaking away from a detachment from Pakistan that's been happening since 2023 is now established. Taliban completely rejecting Pak's dictation and interference in Afghan affairs. Islamabad will be expected to push for concessions in the name of ceasefire talks and try and get back into the entire polity and organizing and into the Afghan discourse altogether. General Pandey with us, the Ambassador Deepak Vora with us, Arjun Hardas stays on. That's great. And we also have Tara Karta and Tilak Devashar. Tilak ji, let's ask you, how do you read this region and what's happening?
Good evening, Anand, and good evening to all the fellow panelists. You know, Afghanistan, I think Pakistan has got itself into quite a big mess. It's not only the Taliban with which it has a problem, it has a major problem with the massacre it has conducted in Punjab, where over close to 300 people, some people say even as many 1,000, TLP activists have been killed in Murid-ke.
Right.
We'll come to that at a later stage. But vis-a-vis Afghanistan, you're very right. The Taliban is now an equal negotiator with them. And they are going to push only one point, that the Taliban should defang the TTP. And since 2021, the Taliban have been telling them that we cannot do or cannot act against the TTP because they provided us shelter when the US invaded and we had to run away. And we sought shelter in the tribal areas. It was these tribesmen who today are constituted as the TTP who gave us shelter and refuge. As per norms of the Pashtun Wali, they cannot take action against them. They have facilitated talks. They have told Pakistan, it's your problem. These are your people. Why don't you talk to them and sort them out? Bring your ulemas and come to an agreement. Don't expect us to take action. And Pakistan has no answer to that. And now Afghanistan is also accusing them of supporting the ISKP to act against and take action against the Taliban. What is Pakistan going to say about the ISKP? So I think it's a very complex issue. I don't know, at best they can agree to a longer ceasefire. The ceasefire expires tonight. At best, I think they will agree to a longer ceasefire, maybe then set up a committee or something like that. But these negotiations will drag on. The basic fundamental issue of the Durand line is not going to get resolved so quickly. It hasn't for the last so many years, almost a century. It's not going to get resolved so quickly. So that, and so long as that structural problem remains, I think relations between Pakistan and Afghanistan are going to be very rough and patchy.
Sir, एक बात बताइए, why is this Khaja Asif slipping into Punjabi because he's so upset with the fact that Amir Khan Muttaqi has come to Bharat? What is it that is riling him up so much? Why does he believe that they are taking dictation from us?
See, because they cannot countenance the fact that people whom they supported for 20 years, helped them get back into Kabul, is today talking to their enemy and calling India a close friend. And in the joint statement talking about Pahalgam, Jammu and Kashmir, India, admitting that Kashmir is part and parcel of India. They just cannot come to it. As they've been hit by a running train. Pakistan is in total shock. And then, of course, EAM Jaishankar called Afghanistan a contiguous neighbor. So that was such a deep and blow that, look, we are neighbors. It's just that the illegally occupied portion of POJK is there. Otherwise, we are neighbors. But Pakistan is in shock. They really don't know how to react. And therefore, they're hitting out in every which direction. Khwaja Asif even saying that we should rename our missiles. And if tumhari missiles pehle bhi nahi thi, why did you name them Abdali and Ghazni? They weren't yours to begin with. Now, who are you going to call? The only leader whom they can name a missile after, are going to be all Hindus and Sikhs. Whether it's Hari Singh Nalwa, whether it's Ranjit Singh, Gangaram, this is the only heroes that Punjab has. What hero have they produced? Nothing.
So, and then of course there's also a segue from the Darul Haqqaniya University of Jihad to the Darul Uloom Deoband and calling that the Madre Ilm. Is that also the very significant shift that's also somewhere some sectarianly hurt the Pakistanis because among the Sunnah, this is a big thing. They've tried to control the narrative from there, the University of Jihad, that's what it's reputed as in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Darul Haqqaniya. And now from there, they moved to Darul Uloom Deoband and he went there, Ambassador Deepak Vora, Amir Khan Muttaqi. Is that hurting them a lot? And of course, the insurgency, we'll talk about that. There are more details that are also coming through, but your thoughts before we get into Tehreek-e-Labbaik and all. Ji, Ambassador Deepak Vora.
Yeah, I can't match the amazing eloquence of Shri Tilak Daveshwar, whose knowledge is legendary about the area. All I can say is that I do claim some Pathan blood, my father's family having been from Ghazni. Then you wanted to know, Mr. Daveshwar, what they'll name their missiles. One would be called Donald Trump. The other will be called Peter Bizarro. I'm quite sure that they will find names for their missiles from what is happening. But to put it bluntly, sir, and many of my Afghan friends, I have many, and I've had them for many years, they tell us हमारा फ्रंटियर आपके साथ था, ये चूहा कहां से बीच में आ गया? No Afghan today, tomorrow, or a million years from now will ever accept the Durand line. They don't recognize it. Their border is sin. And that Pakistan, Jihadistan must recognize very quickly. और जो ये राक्षस मंत्री नहीं, जो भी इसका नाम है, speaking in Punjabi, etc., because he wants to say that we Punjabis dominate everything in Pakistan. That the whole world knows what is different. So tell me something that is new. So my own feelings are that this is not going to last. This whatever deals they are making. The UN, of course, has waived the travel ban on all these Talibani fellows for them to go to Qatar. Qatar is playing a role, punching above its weight. It got clobbered by Israel when it sheltered Hamas. I don't know who's going to clobber it now if it shelters the Taliban fellows also. So this is a wonderful thing that we are seeing, and I'm going to be looking forward with great anticipation and some excitement to the next round when my ancestral fellows from my ancestral home, my father's home, come and beat up these jokers in Pakistan.
Now, whether they beat up or not, they're driving away with their tanks for sure and seriously controlling the narrative in terms of what is being seen. They're walking away with Pakistani, soldiers, their arms and ammunition, and then Noor Wali Masood sitting there and pointing to Pakistani military posts and saying, I'm all right, look at this, I've got access, and then driving in a suicide jeep to try and blow away a military post again. They just know the art of guerrilla warfare and handing it back to those who are aggressive upon them, and it's there. And Amar Khan Muttaqi spoke about it. General Pandey and Tara Kartaji, before I come across you, just adding another dimension to this entire internal strife and insurgency, and then we'll come to you, General Pandey. Manoj Kumar Gupta getting us this details, our group editor, Investigations and Security Affairs, that Pakistan is bracing for a new wave of unrest as major religious parties led by the Tehreek-e-Labbaik Pakistan, a Barelvi sect leadership and grouping, have issued ultimatum to the federal and Punjab governments demanding justice for what they call the Muridke massacre. The alliance, operating under the banner of Al-Sunnah Pakistan, has threatened severe consequences if their demands are not met, warning of mass protests and sit-ins across the country. And according to top sources, the alliance's internal demands include immediate negotiations with the government, release of all detained workers, and the withdrawal of cases filed against party members. The leaders have vowed to avenge the killings in Muridke, while several TLP supporters were reportedly shot dead earlier this week during clashes with the police and paramilitary forces. And that video went viral where Saad Rizvi is heard saying, "Goli kyun चला रहे हो और गोली किसके कहने पे चला रहे हो?" Now, in a significant political development, newly appointed Khyber Pakhtunkhwa Governor Suhail Khan has openly expressed support for the Tehreek-e-Labbaik Pakistan's movement. The province's chief minister also directed party workers to hold solidarity rallies and protests against both the Punjab and federal governments. Former Prime Minister Imran Khan has reportedly instructed Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, PTI officials and supporters to back TLP's demonstrations, escalating pressure on the embattled government. Listen in to what Suhail Khan had to say, the KPK CM.
मेरे पाकिस्तानियों, जिस तरह मेरे लीडर मेरे कायद जनाब इमरान खान साहब ने कल जेल से पैगाम भेजा था कि हमने कल बाद अज़ नमाज जुम्मा इंशाअल्लाह ताला पूरे खैबर पख्तूनख्वा में TLP के जो कारकुनान बेगुनाह शहीद किए गए, ज़ख्मी किए गए, उनके साथ इजहार यकजहती के लिए और जुल्म के ख़िलाफ़ हमने पूरे खैबर पख्तूनख्वा में निकलना है और एहतजाज करना है। तो तमाम खैबर पख्तूनख्वा की आवाम, जिस तरह आपको मैसेज आया होगा पाकिस्तान तहरीक इंसाफ की ज़िली तंजीम के जो हमारे मशान हैं उनकी तरफ से, तो आप सब ने जो है अपने अपने ज़िलों में निकलना है और इस एहतजाज में भरपूर हिस्सा लेना है। शुक्रिया।
General Pandey, stretched or bursting at the seams, the Pak military.
It is, but while the generals and the intelligence agencies of Pakistan are known to be driving their country to edge, but the fact remains that they got the controls quite harsh with them, right? So while we should of course listen to what the CM of KPK has said, but you must also remember that CM of KPK is also a proxy of Pak establishment and the government, right? He may make such statements and all, but he is there at the pleasure. Anybody today who's there is at the pleasure of ISI, right? So this statement coming out in support of TLP is obvious because there is no other way any religious party, any provincial leaders go to say about the deaths which has taken place on TLP, and this is but natural a way to go about. But the issue remains that today, that fracturing which is taking place in Pakistan, thanks to Shahbaz Sharif, Qasim Munir, and their what they are trying to do, if they don't control it, then they have a problem. If they control it, they have got a problem. It's an Hobson's choice. Either way, they are into a threat. But I just want to very quickly go back to the issue of what is happening in Qatar in terms of the deal which is taking place or the talks which are happening. Afghans, Taliban should know one thing, that the Pakistanis don't have a capacity. While they have got the conventional power, but they don't have a capacity to apply the conventional power, because for too long they have been fighting a war of proxy, and they're very comfortable doing business and begging and doing proxy war, both in Afghanistan and in India. So when you are so used to it, to carry out a conventional kind of a warfare, in which the response is going to be guerrilla, there is a big challenge. But in case they go for a firm deal, they must also remember that ISI has got the capacity to fracture Taliban.
Yes.
It's got a capacity to fracture the Pak Taliban which is operating. It's all about money. It's all about compellence. It's all about talking to America and CIA. Those linkages are old. It just requires certain degree of play around. So if they need to be very careful, right? If they aren't, Afghanistan or Taliban will suffer, because in any case, you are well aware, the Talibanis are having certain degree of fraction.
There is the Kandahari faction, and there is also the Haqqaniya faction or the Haqqani faction, which is more Pak oriented. Yeah,
correct. So they have to be very wary about it. The last point about this whole religious groups, I must say, there are about 4-5 more groups who have not spoken yet about the TLP casualties, which is very surprising, right? They are very powerful,
entities.
The religious entities, and they have a say. So what you are listening to is only 15% TLP element, which is being supported or talked of. But yet we are not seeing the other elements, which are far more dangerous than TLP.
They also.
So I think they remain. They remain under control. They still remain under control of ISI and Pak establishment. How they are under control is matter of detail, which will require more discussion on the subject.
They also are sectorial. There are also sectarian differences, and that is something which also ends up them competing with each other, and that tends to surface. But it's also about the money and who controls the drug routes, isn't it, Tara Kartaji? The Helmand province, the money and the drug, the opium basket, who holds control of that will decide which way the balance of power swings. Taraji.
Yeah, but I, as far as we know, that the Taliban have done a massive drive against drug cultivation. Drugs are still, the meth is still going on, meth labs are there, there is movement of heroin, but this is one actual victory which the Taliban has done. Amazing. It is quite amazing. The only trouble is their method of enforcing it is quite bad. But to come back to this thing of the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa chief, he is a very, very strong grassroots leader. He is not just somebody who's picked up from somewhere and made chief minister. He has solid support from within. And also remember one thing, you have to hand it to Imran Khan. He made, at that point of time when he was still in power and chief minister, the KP area was one of the best governed. Then of course they did a fairly good job. So when he's saying, come out on the streets, you better take it seriously. But your point, Anand, about the Barelvi divide, with the allies, it's very real. So the rest of them will naturally not support. Imran Khan's party is playing, he's a political creature, right? So they will support whoever is, fighting against the army. But the point is that in this, if we're talking about I don't know, where is Saad Rizvi? Is he still around? Is he alive? I don't know. Because his father was bumped off in an earlier incident.
Saad Rizvi is alive. He's the one who's driving the entire Tehrik-e-Labbaik, and his video is the one that went viral where he said, "Goli kyun chala rahe ho? And kiske कहने पे चला रहे हो?"
I'm talking of as of now. That viral went, but whether, because what
you're saying what's happened in the last 24 hours? Is he alive or dead?
We don't know. Because they definitely bumped off his father. When his father went against they bumped him off. So TLP, the rage which you saw in Muridke is not just TLP, it's something. I mean, you saw the video of a police vehicle running across people. It's brutality of even for Pakistan, it's quite an unimaginable degree of brutality, so it's not going to be forgotten very easily. But marrying that up with the Afghan frontier, which is now on fire, and unless Pakistan stops complete support to the ISKP, which is what in Balochistan, in Nangarhar, they've got bunches of these guys there, the Taliban are not going to back off. And there is one important point I want to make, Anand. The UN report said, this is a UN report, Sanctions Committee report said, the Taliban are not able to control much of these border areas. So that's why the Taliban keeps saying, listen, how about you sorting out your problems? How are you asking us to sort out? Because they don't have the capacity. Right? Then they're also frightened that the TTP will turn against them and join the Islamic State. All those politics are going on. So any talk in Doha, finally the success of that depends on Pakistan's own ability to take its people along. And it doesn't seem to know how to do it. Precisely, again, what you said.
Correct.
Total racism against the Pashtuns.
Well, what the UNAMA in Pakistan, in Afghanistan has said is that civilian areas are being struck. We have run out of time, and that's why we don't have the time to discuss the Balochistan report. And that report that's been released has got some shocking details and numbers that the world needs to take notice of. So, but for the moment, I'm going to thank everybody because we have run out of time. Wishing you all Shubh Deepavali, festive greetings to all our viewers.
Happy Diwali, Shubh Diwali.
Yes.
Same to you. Same to you.
We're going to take a short break. The right stand is not over. We've got to also say something more, share something more Shubh. This is a big step towards Atmanirbharta as the Tejas MK1A takes flight. We get to the details when we come back. Stay with us.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Coming in from Gujarat.
અને
હું
ગુજરાત રાજ્યના નાયબ મુખ્યમંત્રી તરીકેના
ગુજરાત રાજ્યના નાયબ મુખ્યમંત્રી તરીકેના
મારા કર્તવ્યો શ્રદ્ધાપૂર્વક અને અંતઃકરણપૂર્વક બજાવીશ
શ્રદ્ધાપૂર્વક અને અંતઃકરણપૂર્વક બજાવીશ
અને
ભય કે પક્ષપાત
રાગ કે દ્વેષ વિના તમામ લોકો સાથે સંવિધાન અને કાયદા અનુસાર ન્યાયપૂર્વક વર્તીશ હું
હર્ષ રમેશ કુમાર સંઘવી
ઈશ્વરના નામે સોગંદ લઉં છું કે હું ગુજરાત રાજ્યના નાયબ મુખ્યમંત્રી તરીકે જે કોઈ બાબત મારી વિચારણા માટે લાવવામાં આવશે અથવા મારા જાણવામાં આવશે તેની જાણ એવા નાયબ મુખ્યમંત્રી તરીકેના મારા કર્તવ્યોના યોગ્ય પાલન માટે આવશ્યક હોય તે સિવાય પ્રત્યક્ષ કે પરોક્ષ રીતે કોઈ પણ વ્યક્તિ અથવા વ્યક્તિઓને કરીશ નહીં અથવા તેની કે તેમની આગળ તેને પ્રકટ કરીશ નહીં ધન્યવાદ.
Payal Mehta joins us with more details. That's the big Gujarat cabinet reshuffle, the oath-taking ceremony that is ongoing. Payal, give us a sense of, what you've been able to conclude so far. We were putting the number to the list, and what replacements are we essentially looking at? Give us a clarity on that front.
Well, as far as the replacements are really concerned, 9 of them have been replaced, given the fact that their survey report has not come out very good quickly. The Gujarat government has been holding a survey for these ministers who have been dropped for the last 1 year, and there was a lot of negative feedback coming their way as well. You still have 2 years to go for the next Gujarat Assembly election, and therefore the BJP does not want to take any chances. But the big news and the big update as far as this reshuffle is concerned is the fact that Harsh Sanghvi has now become the deputy CM. Remember, he comes in from South Gujarat. He's been a representative of South Gujarat from the Majura constituency, which is in Surat. It has been a big jump for him, given the fact that he was the MOS home. He was also the sports minister of the state. Somebody who was the youngest home minister of Gujarat after Amit Shah as well. And he's got a big boost because not only does he become the deputy CM, but he's also going to be a cabinet minister as well. So big boost as far as Harsh is concerned. Again gives you an idea that the BJP is trying to promote young talent as well. Harsh is one of those representatives who's been very active. It's said to be extremely close to the top leadership of this Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Home Minister Amit Shah. The CR party has always in the past also been very close to Vijay Rupani, Anandiben Patel as well. So Harsh pretty much fits the bill, and that's the big story, the big update. Of course, there are a lot of reputations that have taken place. In terms of ministers who've been given an opportunity, whether it's Kanubhai Desai, who was the finance minister, or Rishikesh Patel, who was also the health minister of Gujarat.
Okay, Payal, you're telling us about the 9 replacements, and of course the big elevation that's coming for Harsh Sanghvi, also the youngest home minister of Gujarat to become the deputy chief minister. Payal, tell us a little bit about the caste composition of the new cabinet. There's been a lot of talk about OBC community, Patidar community, and how all of that is going to...
The light combat aircraft Tejas MK1A took its maiden flight from the Hindustan Aeronautic Limited Nashik facility today in presence of Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh. These warplanes are replacing the aging MiG-21 fighter jets which were retired by the Indian Air Force last month. The Indian Air Force is expected to receive its first LCA Tejas MK1A aircraft by the end of October. This is a significant milestone in Bharat's indigenous fighter jet program. Now, the Tejas MK1A variant is an advanced multi-role fighter jet. The indigenous 4.5 generation all-weather combat aircraft is developed by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, and these fighter jets are designed for deployment in high-threat aerial environments. The Tejas MK1A boasts several upgrades over the Tejas MK1 version, including Israel ELM 2025 AESA radars, advanced electronic warfare suite, with a jammer and beyond visual range capabilities. The LCA Tejas MK1A, the advanced version of the MK1 aircraft, took its first successful test flight on the 28th of March last year. And as per the Defence Ministry, the aircraft will contain indigenous content of over 64%, with 67% additional items included. The integration of advanced indigenously developed systems such as Uttam, active electronically scanned array radar, Swayam Raksha Kavach and controlled surface actuators will further strengthen the Atmanirbhar Bharat initiatives. Capable of tracking multiple targets, the Uttam radar has a range of more than 200 kilometers, which gives the aircraft a 360-degree scanned view of its surroundings. The delivery of these aircraft is likely to begin by 2027-28 and conclude over a period of 6 years.
उनकी उड़ान रक्षा क्षेत्र में भारत की मैं मानता हूं, मैं इस रूप में देख रहा था, यह भारत की आत्मनिर्भरता की उड़ान है, यह भारत के सेल्फ रिलायंस की एक फ्लाइंग है.
Now here's what makes the Tejas MK1A significant. It's lightweight, has a single engine and is a multi-role fighter jet. It has advanced active electronically scanned array radars installed that enables tracking of multiple targets simultaneously. The aircraft also features upgraded digital fly-by-wire system and has a unified electronic warfare suite added. Now, it also includes advanced self-protection jammers and 9 hard points for versatile weaponry. It can carry the BrahMos too. Now, it's capable of beyond visual range air-to-air and air-to-ground missiles and is equipped with advanced short-range air-to-air missiles. Let's also understand this entire timeline of the Tejas MK1A. 1983, the Light Combat Aircraft Project, or the LCA project, was launched to replace MiG-21s. 1995, first technology demonstrator was rolled out. 2001, TD-1's first successful flight was registered. 2007, PV-3 achieved supersonic flight. 2013, first Tejas squadron was planned for the IAF. 2015, first series production of the aircraft was delivered. 2016, number 45 squadron was inducted with Tejas jets. 2019, naval variant lands on the INS Vikramaditya. 2021, 48,000 crore deal was signed for 83 Tejas MK1A jets that was approved. 2025, Tejas MK1A takes its maiden sortie. Now let's hope this does the nation proud. Thank you for watching.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Coming in from Gujarat.
અને હું ગુજરાત રાજ્યના નાયબ મુખ્યમંત્રી તરીકેના
મુખ્યમંત્રી તરીકેના
મારા કર્તવ્યો શ્રદ્ધાપૂર્વક અને અંતઃકરણપૂર્વક વજાવીશ અને ભય કે પક્ષપાત રાગ કે દ્વેષ વિના તમામ લોકો સાથે સંવિધાન અને કાયદા અનુસાર ન્યાયપૂર્વક વર્તીશ હું
હર્ષ રમેશ કુમાર સંઘવી
ઈશ્વરના નામે સોગંદ લઉં છું કે હું ગુજરાત રાજ્યના નાયબ મુખ્યમંત્રી તરીકે જે કોઈ બાબત મારી વિચારણા માટે લાવવામાં આવશે અથવા મારા જાણવામાં આવશે તેની જાણ એવા નાયબ મુખ્યમંત્રી તરીકેના મારા કર્તવ્યોના યોગ્ય પાલન માટે આવશ્યક હોય તે સિવાય પ્રત્યક્ષ કે પરોક્ષ રીતે કોઈ પણ વ્યક્તિ અથવા વ્યક્તિઓને કરીશ નહીં અથવા તેની કે તેમની આગળ તેને પ્રકટ કરીશ નહીં. ધન્યવાદ.
Payal Mehta joins us with more details. That's the big Gujarat cabinet reshuffle, the oath-taking ceremony that is ongoing. Payal, give us a sense of, what you've been able to conclude so far. We were putting the number to the list, and what replacements are we essentially looking at? Give us a clarity on that front.
Well, as far as the replacements are really concerned, 9 of them have been replaced, given the fact that their survey report has not come out very good quickly. The Gujarat government has been holding a survey for these ministers who have been dropped for the last 1 year, and there was a lot of negative feedback coming their way as well. You still have 2 years to go for the next Gujarat Assembly election, and therefore the BJP does not want to take any chances. But the big news and the big update as far as this reshuffle is concerned is the fact that Harsh Sanghvi has now become the deputy CM. Remember, he comes in from South Gujarat. He's been a representative of South Gujarat from the Majura constituency, which is in Surat. It has been a big jump for him, given the fact that he was the MOS home. He was also the sports minister of the state. Somebody who was the youngest home minister of Gujarat after Amit Shah as well. And he's got a big boost because not only does he become the deputy CM, but he's also going to be a cabinet minister as well. So big boost as far as Harsh is concerned. Again gives you an idea that the BJP is trying to promote young talent as well. Harsh is one of those representatives who's been very active. It's said to be extremely close to the top leadership, whether it's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Home Minister Amit Shah. The CR party has always in the past also been very close to Vijay Rupani, Anandiben Patel as well. So Harsh pretty much fits the bill, and that's the big story, the big update. Of course, there are a lot of reputations that have taken place. In terms of ministers who've been given an opportunity, whether it's Kanubhai Desai, who was the finance minister, or Rishikesh Patel, who was also the health minister of Gujarat.
Okay, Payal, you're telling us about the 9 replacements and of course the big elevation that's come in for Harsh Singhi, also the youngest Home Minister of Gujarat to become the Deputy Chief Minister. Payal, tell us a little bit about the caste composition of the new cabinet. There's been a lot of talk about OBC community, Patidar community, and how all of that is going to happen, inclusion of all the caste combinations.
Well, absolutely. There's been an inclusion of everyone that you can really think about, because remember the Patidars are a big force as far as Gujarat is really concerned, and therefore that holds a lot of significance. In that respect, they've been given a representation. Representation has also been given, from the other communities, especially the OBC community. Harsh Singhi himself is a Jain, which means minority community, has also gotten a representation as well. Region-wise also a lot of representation has come their way, given the fact that Harsh Singhi and Kanubhai Desai have both been brought in as well. A lot of ministers have also been brought in from the Saurashtra region, and like I've been reporting earlier, it's not been a very, very happy hunting ground as far as the BJP is concerned in the past. But you have to understand one thing, that the BJP is looking at massive mandates. They won 156 out of 181 seats, but they were able to get another 6 people to join their ranks. It clearly meant that their strength is 162 out of 181 seats right now, which clearly means that numbers are certainly not a problem. But the BJP government in the state of Gujarat, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi comes in from, where of course Union Home Minister Amit Shah comes in from, where CR Patil comes in from. CR Patil, mind you, has the record of holding the highest number of seats and given the biggest victory to BJP. They will not leave anything to chance. So, like I said, it's not been an overnight decision. This cabinet rejig, or rather cabinet expansion has been on the cards for quite some time. It got delayed quite a bit because of the organization elections that will be underway for a few months as well. But this chop and change is something which has been part of the BJP's, thinking that we've really seen. We've seen Anandi Patel also leave her term midway as a chief minister. We've also seen Vijay Rupani also being removed midway as well. Bhupender Patel then replaced Vijay Rupani in 2019, if I remember correctly. And then, Bhupender Patel is now currently the Chief Minister of Gujarat. So everybody except him resigned yesterday when the cabinet, in fact, the entire set of cabinet ministers resigned yesterday. All the MLAs were asked to be in Gujarat. The Suchna, as I said in Gujarat, came to each one of them only this morning as well. So there was a lot of, thinking behind, which has gone behind this. Just about a few days ago, Prime Minister Narendra Modi held a meeting about Gujarat at his official residence at 7 Lok Kalyan Marg, when, of course, Union Minister CR Patil, Union Minister for Home Affairs, Amit Shah, and of course JP Nadda, who is also a member of Parliament from, Mr. Nadda is a member of Parliament also from Gujarat in the Rajya Sabha. So they all had a meeting, and Jagdish Vishwakarma, who's newly been taken into the organization, is basically the Gujarat state chief, and as for the Gujarat Chief Minister himself, taking matters into their own.
Good evening. You're watching Brass Tacks with me, Poonam Burde. The digital age seems to be seeing its latest nightmare, as instances of digital arrests are emerging ever so often. For the uninitiated, there is no thing as a digital arrest. Knowing that is the first step to keep yourself safe. What is a digital arrest and what is this scam? Now, it is a type of a fraud where criminals pretend to be police or government officials, even court authorities, and threaten people with arrests over the phone, over email or video calls. Individuals from various walks of life, including senior citizens, business leaders, several influencers, have now fallen prey to this con. The most recent being 2 cases that have come within the last 24 hours from Mumbai. A 72-year-old Mumbai stock investor and his wife were defrauded. In a separate but similar incident, a 26-year-old television actor was duped after being put under digital arrest for 7 hours. While the couple transferred 58 crore rupees into multiple bank accounts, the actor was held under digital arrest for 7 hours, was instructed to deposit about 6.5 lakh rupees for verification with the promise of a refund. In the first case, the Maharashtra Cyber Cell froze the bank accounts and arrested 3 mule account holders, while in the other, investigation is still underway. The accused, impersonating officers from the ED, from the CBI, told this 70-year-old couple that their